welcome back. Mrs. Mulchaney here. Let's see if I can try to get this video right this time. I made a mistake last time I made it. All right, so this is units of study for Unit 9. Make sure you're copying this into the very front of your notebook. We're focusing in on SOL 6.12 C and D. Last time we focused on A and B. We are graphing ratio tables in this video. So once you have that first part copied down, go ahead and turn into some blank pages that are in your notebook. Leave the page on the left blank. On the right-hand side, you're writing in Unit 9, and the unit is going to be called Proportional Relationships. And then go ahead, fold down that corner so that you can find Unit 9 quickly, and we will get started. So, graphing ratio tables. A ratio table can be read as a group of ordered pairs, which are our x and y. We learned that from our coordinate plane, and plotted on the first quadrant of the coordinate plane. So, just like it says, we can take a table of values and look at them as ordered pairs. So we'll think of the whole set of numbers together at that ratio there. We can also think of it as a point. And we can think of that as the top number will be the x and the bottom number will be the y of those points. But we still need to fill in our ratio tables with those missing values. So I'm missing this value here and this one here. So I'm still going to follow the rules like we've done previously. So I'm going to use the 2. How do I get from 1 to 2? Well, I'm going to multiply that times 2. And then I have to see whatever I can do the bottom. I also have to do the top. So it'd be times 2 again. So I get 4. Now, if you look at that given ratio, it's the most simplified version of that ratio. So I get to that 2 to 1. But anytime a ratio has a 1 in it, it's called a unit rate. And what that means is it is simplified down to have 1 as part of the fraction. So anytime you see a 1 in that fraction, it's called a unit rate. It has a special name. So this is 2 cups to 1 plate. That's why it's called a unit, because it's focusing in on 1. But that's something we're going to continue talking about next week. Now, if we continue moving forward in this table, I need to get to the 6, so I can do 2 times 3. It gives me 6, so I do 1 times 3 on the bottom, and that will give me 3. So I fill in that blank with a 3. So there's all my points. Now I can focus in on my little coordinate plane that I drew over here. So x is the horizontal, so that's going to be your cups. And then y is the vertical, so that's going to be your plates. And I'm going to number that, so cups goes up to 6. So I'm going to number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and number those. And then plates goes up to 3. 1, 2, 3. And you can plot your points. Now, whenever you're looking at your points, like the first one, 2, 1, I could write that as 2, 1 as a point, and then I'll go over to 2 and fly 1. So I walk 2, fly 1. And then my next point would be 4, 2. Walk 4, fly 2. And then my last one would be 6, 3. So I'm going to walk 6 and then fly 3. And then you can use a straight edge, either a corner of a side of a notebook, an index card, or ruler, and draw a nice, pretty straight line. And the fun thing about this unit with this lesson is if you don't get a straight line, you did something wrong. So you must get a straight line. And what that straight line tells you is that they're all equivalent, because they're all equivalent ratios. It also tells you that they are proportional to each other. So proportional is just another fancy word for equivalent ratios. So a straight line tells you that they're proportional and that they are equivalent and that they all mean the same exact ratio. All right, so here's where we have to listen to some directions. In your notebook, you need to open, or if you need to turn the page, you need to have 2 pages side by side that are blank. On the left-hand side, you're going to draw the coordinate plane that I have drawn here. I recommend you draw a line down, number it to 15, and then draw a line to the right and number it to 15. So that's the left-hand page. The right-hand page, we're going to do 4 problems. You only have 2 of them shown here. So make sure you leave some space underneath number 1 and number 2 for number 3 and 4. So start at the top of your page and we'll work our way down. So take a minute, write this in, and then when you're ready, unpause the video and we're going to go through these problems. So looking at problem number 1, we have cats and we have dogs, and we need to fill in the ratio table where we have items missing. So we're missing a point here, and then the other one for the blue and the red, I'm missing them for here and here. And I'm going to do this problem in blue because I'm going to graph it in blue. So I'm going to highlight it in blue. All right. So I need to take the ratio that I'm given and fill in this table. So I have a 6 here that goes with this missing 1. So I'm going to do 3 times 2 is what gets me to 6. And whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So 4 times 2, and that gives me 8. And then I have the 12 that goes with the missing space here. So again, 8 doesn't go into 12, so I'm going to come back to this given ratio. And 4 times 3 would be 12, so I have to do 3 times 3, which fills in the blank for 9. Now I can come over to my graph now and plot it and graph it. And remember, if I don't get a straight line, I did something wrong. So I'm going to go walk to 4 and fly to 3 and plot a point. Now I'm going to walk to 8 and fly to 6 and plot a point. And I'm going to walk to 12 and fly to 9 and plot a point. And then I'm going to start at the origin. I'm going to draw a nice, pretty straight line. Remember, you can use a notebook, you can use a ruler. Try to get as nice of a pretty straight line as you can. And make sure you put an arrowhead at the end because it is a line and it must be anchored down to this origin here. So what I would like for you to do, I want you to do number 2. Whenever I do number 2, I'm going to graph it in red. So if you want your closest color to red to do that one, I would recommend that. See if you can use what is given there to fill in the blanks and see if you can try to graph it. So looking at number 2, I'm going to use this 4/6. I'm trying to get to this blank here, so I have to go backwards. I have to divide by 2 in this problem from 6 to 3, so I have to divide by 2 on the top. So 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. And I can't use 4/6 to go forward because 4 times something does not make 6. So I actually have to use this ratio that I made, this 2/3, to go forward. So I'm going to multiply times 3 to get to 6. So 2 times 3 gives me 6. So I have to do 3 times 3 is what gives me 9. And then I can come over to my graph and I'll plot it. So I have walk 2, fly 3. Walk 4, fly 6. Walk 6, fly 9. And you can see they're kind of already in a line, and I'm going to anchor to my origin and draw a nice, pretty straight line through them. So here are number 3 and number 4. Go ahead and take a pause and get those ones copied in. And then whenever you're ready, I want you to go ahead and try number 3 and number 4. Number 3, I'm going to graph in green. And then number 4, I'm going to graph it in an orangey color. So if you want to have an orange something, I'm going to show it in yellow, but I don't have an orange. So go ahead and do number 3 and number 4, get them copied in, see if you can solve them and graph them. So for number 3, I need to use this 6 to 2 to figure out the blank that is here with the 3 and the blank that is here with the 4. So knowing that, I need to use the 6 to 2. Well, how do I get to 3 from 6? Well, I can divide by 2. And whatever I do to one side, I also do to the other. So I have to divide by 2. And 2 divided by 2 would be 1. Now, this problem is interesting because I can use the 6 to 2 to get down to the 4. I could just multiply times 2. But I also could go from the 1 down to the 4 and just multiply by 4. So either way is fine. In this case, both ratios can get you down to the 4. I'm just going to stick to the multiply by 2 tactic. So 6 times 2 gives me 12. So as long as you had those same answers, you were fine. And then you can come over to the graph. Remember, this is x and this is y. Just because I turned it vertically doesn't mean that it doesn't mean the same thing. X will be the first one and y is the second one. Alphabetically, that's how it works out. So I'm going to come over to 3 and go up, walk 3, fly 1. Then I'm going to walk 6, fly 2. And then I'm going to walk 12 and fly to 4. Now they skipped a point in here. You can kind of see where it's missing. You can also notice in the table it goes 1, 2, it skips 3. So if you were using a pattern of adding or keeping track of whatever number comes next, you have to check in that table to make sure that it's not missing something to trick you. So there should have been your nice pretty straight line. And then for number 4, you had to make yourself a ratio table. And in number 4, it says for Gabby's grad party, 3 people will cost $7. How many people can attend if she budgets for 14? So we're comparing people to money. And it says if I have 3 people, it will cost me $7. And it says if I have $14, how many people can attend? So I'm looking for this blank right here. And in order to solve that one, I have to say, okay, well, what do I have to do to 7 to make 14? Well, I have to multiply times 2, and whatever I do to the bottom, I am going to do to the top. So 3 times 2 gives me a 6. So whenever I go to graph this, I'm going to walk 3, fly 6, and then I'm going to walk 6 and fly to 14 and anchor it to that origin and go ahead and draw a nice pretty straight line. Try one more time. And it's hard for me because I can't use a ruler, but you guys should be using a ruler or some sort of straight edge in your notebook. But if you have any questions about anything related to ratio tables or anything related to graphing ratio tables, please make sure that you let your teacher know.